When we explore the teachings of Shree Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, we find timeless wisdom that reaches beyond philosophy and enters the realm of practical transformation. Semen retention is not explicitly named in the Gita, yet the principle of conserving vital energy, restraining the senses, and mastering the self is woven into its verses. In Adhyay 6, Shloka 14, Krishna guides the yogi, which translates to the self-controlled yogi with a peaceful mind, fearless, living in the vow of celibacy. Brahmacharya, with mind restrained and fixed on me, should sit devoted to me as the supreme goal. This verse alone reveals the secret link between brahmacharya retention of vital energy and the higher path of self-mastery. To practice brahmacharya is not merely a physical act of abstinence. It is about harnessing the creative essence of life itself, redirecting it toward inner growth, clarity, and union with the divine. Krishna makes it clear that without this discipline, the yogi cannot stabilize his consciousness. The ancient masters understood that semen is not a mere fluid, but a concentrated essence of energy, and when conserved, it fuels mental clarity, spiritual strength, and unshakable discipline. To understand semen retention through Krishna's sermon, we must look at it as a battle between the higher and lower selves. The senses, if left uncontrolled, drag the mind outward, binding it to lust, desire, and endless craving. Krishna, in the Gita, repeatedly emphasizes Indriya Nigrahatha, control of the senses. He explains that lust, kama, is the greatest enemy, born of rajas, the mode of passion, which blinds wisdom and enslaves the soul. In modern terms, the uncontrolled indulgence in pornography, lustful thoughts, and ejaculation without restraint depletes not only physical vitality, but also weakens mental resolve. Semen retention is a discipline aligned perfectly with Krishna's call for brahmacharya, living steadfastly in celibacy or restraint, redirecting that force to higher pursuits. Just as Arjuna had to master his inner confusion before facing the battlefield, modern men must conquer their inner desires to achieve mastery over their lives. Krishna's sermon teaches that real freedom is not in indulgence, but in mastery of energy, mastery of desire, and mastery of the mind. When Krishna speaks of the yogi being prasantatma, peaceful in self, vigatobhya felis, and brahmacharya virata, stood firm in the vow of brahmacharya, he is pointing to a state where semen retention is not seen as suppression but as sublimation. Retention power becomes the fire that fuels concentration, meditation, and creativity. This is where modern science also intersects with ancient wisdom. Semen contains vital proteins, minerals, and energy, and its constant loss leads to fatigue, dullness, and lack of focus. Retaining it strengthens the nervous system, sharpens memory, and increases willpower. Krishna is teaching that the yogi must fix the mind on the supreme Makito Yukta, Asita Mate Para, implies that the energy conserved must be redirected upwards, toward higher ideals and divine purpose, not left stagnating. Without such redirection, mere retention can lead to frustration. Thus, Krishna's sermon is completed, is not only about conserving energy, but also about transmuting it into devotion, discipline, and divine consciousness. In today's chaotic, hyperstimulated world, his call for inner restraint resonates more than ever. Consider the story of a modern businessman who unknowingly lived the wisdom of Krishna's verse. He was ambitious, yet drained, constantly distracted by habits of lust, late-night indulgence, and loss of energy. Despite working hard, his productivity and focus remained low, and he found himself stuck in cycles of mediocrity. Upon learning about the principle of brahmacharya in the Gita specifically, Adhyay 6.14, he took it as a personal discipline. He began practicing semen retention, controlling his urges and focusing on his work with renewed clarity. Over months, he noticed dramatic changes. His confidence grew, his speech carried authority, his eyes became sharper, and his presence inspired respect. He was no longer a victim of hidden drains of energy, but a man in control of his destiny. Within 2 years, he expanded his business, attracted like-minded partners, and even his relationships improved as he no longer approached women with lust, but with respect and strength. This case study reflects Krishna's timeless sermon, the yogi, or disciplined man, who retains his core essence and fixes his mind on higher goals, becomes unstoppable. Furthermore, Krishna's sermon in Adhyay 6 doesn't stop at celibacy, but connects it to meditation and devotion. Retention without meditation is incomplete, and meditation without retention is weak. He teaches that the yogi must sit steadily, restrain the mind, and focus on the divine. This tried energy, conservation, mental control, and devotion forms the path of semen retention becomes the anchor that allows meditation to deepen, and meditation ensures that retained energy ascends to higher centers, awakening intuition, creativity, and spiritual bliss. This is why Krishna calls such a yogi fearless Vigatobhya. Fear arises from weakness, and weakness comes from indulgence and wasted vitality. But the one who conserves his essence, restrains the senses, and focuses on higher truth becomes radiant, courageous, and unshakable. In practical life, this means facing challenges with resilience, making clear decisions without emotional fog, and radiating a presence that commands respect. Krishna's sermon is thus both spiritual and practical. It uplifts the soul and strengthens worldly success. Ultimately, Shree Krishna's sermon on retention power is a roadmap to self-mastery. By pointing to Brahmacharya in Adhyay 6.14, he reveals the secret of transforming desire into devotion, lust into clarity, and weakness into strength. For modern seekers, this teaching is not outdated, is essential. In an age where distractions and temptations abound, retaining one's essence and channeling it into higher purpose is the true revolutionary act. The yogi of today may not sit on a battlefield like Arjuna, but he faces the battlefield of lust, distraction, and inner conflict. By walking Krishna's path of self-restraint, meditation, and devotion, he can conquer himself, and in doing so, conquer the world. The sermon is clear. Semen retention is not suppression, but elevation. It is not denial, but empowerment. Through it, one ascends to self-mastery, peace, and fearless living, embodying the eternal truth of the Gita, that true strength is found, not in indulgence, but in discipline, devotion, and alignment with the divine. Like, share, and subscribe, and write comment Jai Shree Krishna for Shree Krishna blessing.